because this was a consensual conversation where you walked upon me, decided that because I won't give you my ID, you're going to say that the result of couponing is now shoplifting. I do not have to help in your investigation. That is not my job. That is your job. I'm not required to say anything to you under the Fifth Amendment. You have a video of anybody stealing from any store with any of these items that looks like me.
I don't know yet.
It's unreasonable.
I think it's completely reasonable.
Okay, and what evidence do you have to suspect me of shoplifting?
Your yard.
My yard. I have stuff in my yard for a yard sale, guys. You know yard sales are illegal now.
No,
Told you my
never
first
told me
name.
where anything came from.
It came from stores where they were purchased with
That's not
coupons.
an answer.
It is an answer. I don't have to ID. We're not a stop and ID state.
What's good, YouTube? It's BB Cast back in with another video and another reaction. And in today's video is from the Warren County Sheriff's Office over there in Kentucky. You had this Warren County Sheriff deputy come to this guy's house suspicious of him shoplifting. This guy was having a yard sale. That's the thing. You can't even have a yard sale without getting harassed. This officer came on his property saying, hey man, I think this stuff right here is stolen. Y'all stole it out the store. But in reality, they just have some good coupons and they get a lot of stuff. And for some reason, this sheriff isn't buying it. He legit thinks that they stole it. So he asks for his ID. And obviously, he says no. And that's where he decides to detain him for over 40 minutes, all because that he wanted his ID and he said no. I'm gonna watch it, get my reaction. Let me know what y'all think about the comment section. Let's get into the video.
So what's your name and badge number?
My name is Sergeant Hines with Warren County Sheriff's Office, 415.
Thank you. I'm now recording this interaction because this was a consensual conversation where you walked upon me and decided that because I won't give you my ID, that you're going to say that the result of couponing is now shoplifting. I've asked you to leave. I said I do not want to continue this consensual conversation. You refused. Said I don't get to dictate when you leave. And that's fine.
You didn't actually ask me.
Yes, I did. I asked to end this conversation. I am asking you to leave.
Okay.
I wanted to end this conversation. Okay, well, I've given you the information I have. Unless you can speak to the items out there in the grass, I don't know what else you can do to investigate. I've explained that my girlfriend coupons to you. I've explained that this is the result of that. I don't know what else that you want. She shops all over. No answer I give you is gonna make you think, oh, what I thought when I walked up is not the case, because you predetermined the notion of what you were going to come upon when you saw this yard sale.
Determine anything. That's why we investigate.
But you have no reasonable articulable suspicion that shoplifting occurred ever.
I've already provided that reasonable, articulable.
Which is what?
Multiples and.
So it's illegal to own multiples of items and then sell those items. So the people who are at the flea market who have multiples of items and are selling items should all be put under suspicion for committing shoplifting.
I just came here to have a simple conversation.
And I told you my name's Tony.
Your obstruction of that is.
There's no obstruction. Obstruction is a physical act. I'm not obstructing you. I do not have to help in your investigation. That is not my job. That is your job. You're required to do your investigation. I'm not required to say anything to you under the Fifth Amendment. You have a supervisor coming?
I've already advised you. I am the supervisor.
Okay, I wanted your supervisor. Isn't that your policy to try to contact your supervisor?
No.
Okay. Do you have a card?
I believe I have one.
Can I have one? Yeah, please. So that when I file a complaint with your department, I know exactly who I'm filing it on. This is harassment. I've asked you to leave. I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've explained to you how we have come upon these items.
I was asked to be here, so I do have a reason to be here.
Okay, you can investigate somewhere else.
No.
There's nothing else for you to investigate here.
This is where it's occurring.
Okay, I understand that, but I've asked you to leave. You have no right to be here. I don't want to give you a hard time, but you're coming up here on baseless accusations.
You started with giving me a hard time. That's where we started.
That's how you could tell that this officer's feelings got hurt, because he just really just stand there quietly, knowing that he's just feeling embarrassed right now, but his ego's too big. He can't just walk away.
I didn't. I just told you I wasn't going to give you my ID because I don't have to. Is that not true? Are we a stop and ID state? And now you're impeding me from being able to sell the items because people aren't going to stop when there's a sheriff standing on the porch.
Why would they not stop?
Because it looks like there's something intimidating or scary going on here. There's a man with a gun on my porch, standing over top of me.
Really? Because I go to stores and people don't leave the store.
No, but people aren't going to be deterred from a store. They're going to think that I'm some type of criminal when there's no criminal act going on here.
Well, I don't believe that.
You have no reasonable articulable suspicion. Having multiples of an item is not a crime. Selling multiples of an item is not a crime. You have nothing to suggest that any of this was stolen. Do you have me on video walking out of a store with all of these items without paying?
Potentially.
You don't. I can guarantee you 1,000% you don't.
Okay. What about your girlfriend?
I can guarantee 1,000% that she is not on camera stealing anything ever in her life. And the fact that you continue to sit here and act like this is ridiculous. You're trying to be quiet now that I have you on camera, but I want you to understand that I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've asked you to end this consensual conversation and you refuse. On no basis. You're trying to be quiet now that I have you on camera, but I want you to understand that I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've asked you to end this consensual conversation and you refuse. On no basis. I'm going to FOIA request that. Name and badge number, sir?
Alex Bigford, 486.
Thank you. Do you have a card?
Yep.
I'm just watching.
I've asked you to leave several times. Now you're walking through my yard taking pictures of my items. You can do that from somewhere other than this property. This makes no sense. You walked up on this property. This was a consensual conversation. You're trying to say selling multiples of items is somehow shoplifting. It is not. My girlfriend coupons, I explained that to you. You're continuing to push this because of some ego trip that you have because I wouldn't give you my ID. So are you going to come back and apologize when you find out you're wrong? Are you? Will you come back and apologize if you find out with what you're doing right now is completely wrong?
I don't know what we're doing. I'm just.
I understand that. I asked for his supervisor.
He's a supervisor.
I know. I want his supervisor because what he's doing is completely baseless. He has no right to just walk up and assume that all this is shoplifted.
I don't know anything about that.
Did somebody credible call you all and say, hey, I know for a fact all this stuff is shoplifted?
I don't know. I just got here.
Because suspicion that it's shoplifted doesn't give you a right to come up on me and demand my ID and say that there's possibly a crime here. I told him I wouldn't give him my ID because there's no crime committed and we are not a stop and ID state. And so he decides to push the issue further. Am I incorrect about that? Do I have to ID to you if I have not committed a crime? We are not a stop and ID state, are we?
Well, if there's reasonable suspicion, yes.
No, if I'm detained and I give you a false name, it's a crime. If I am lawfully arrested, I have to give you my ID.
Yeah,
I
but
do
if
not
they-
have to give you my ID just because you ask for it. We're not a stop and ID state. It's not a requirement. I'm going to FOIA request that. I want an incident report number. Can I have your card and can I have your name and badge number?
Sure. I'm Officer Williams, badge is 171.
And your name, ma'am?
Officer Bryant.
And badge number?
155.
Okay, and do you have cards?
Yep.
Can I have one, please?
Sure.
I'd like to know who I'm complaining on whenever I go to the police department. All right, that's great. Thank you. I don't have an issue with y'all doing your job, but now I think it's going a little too far. There's 4 officers with a man sitting down in a chair.
So she's on return to duty, so we're considered one because I'm training her. So.
Okay, I understand that, but there are 4 people with weapons standing in front of me, correct? For what?
We're investigating a
Okay,
crime. You
okay.
were requested to assist with an officer that was
Okay,
conducting
but
an
my question
investigation.
is, what reasonable articulable suspicion do you have that these items were stolen?
I don't know. It's not my case. I was requested to assist another agency, so that's what we're here doing.
So nobody can give me any answers on why you reasonably believe these items are stolen.
Like I said, this is the first time I've met you. I don't know all the details.
I've
That's
explained
what
to
we're
him.
getting from
I explained to him that my girlfriend coupons
Okay.
and that we come by these lawfully.
Okay.
She does this for a living, for the purpose of selling these. We have these sales years and years and years in a row. And not once has anybody ever come up to us and suspected us. We've had cops stop and shop here. We've had no issues. I just don't understand how somehow this is now a crime.
I don't know. I was just asking simple questions, and you immediately.
No,
became
but I don't want to
offended.
give you my ID because there's no crime. There's no crime being committed.
Well, we call that a clue.
You call it what you want. It's me exercising my rights. I don't have to ID. We're not a stop and ID state.
And that's what I mean. When you don't give officer your ID, they just go act like children, wasting this guy's time all because his ego's hurt.
I'm just asking simple questions, but you refuse to answer my questions.
I told you that she coupons. That wasn't sufficient for you because you believe that the stuff is stolen. So there's no way for me to convince you that it's not.
Not the way you've been speaking to me now.
Well,
If she coupons, she should have. Most couponers keep pretty good records. I mean, does she have receipts for all
I'm
this?
sure she has tons of
Okay. I mean,
receipts,
that-
either in
that
her
would be-
purse or
Okay.
in the house.
I say because you said there's no way to prove it.
She does
has receipts for all
Ibotta.
this.
She does Ibotta. She does the other little thing that gives you stuff for your receipts. Yes.
That's fine.
It would be a very simple request for me to walk up and ask to see the receipts. Would you be willing to do that?
You could ask that,
Would you be willing?
but
to
unless you can prove that there was a crime committed, there would be no reason for me to have to. Now, she may voluntarily do it when she gets back.
She's on her way though.
I don't know where she's at. But I don't have to give you my ID just because you asked for it. That's not how the law works. If maybe you had asked, what was going on, and then when I told you,
I was
you
very-
stopped and waited in your car and you come back over here and you waited to speak to her when she arrived, then maybe
I don't know.
this wouldn't have
I don't know
escalated to
that
where it's at,
she's
but
not here.
she's not.
How would I know that from across the street?
When the car pulls in the driveway, you would see.
Well, how would I know who's selling it? I don't know. That's why we investigate.
You don't know, and you don't know that there's a crime. I really would like for you all to leave.
Well, that's where investigation is for. I've not accused you of anything. I'm just.
Yes, you have. You said the items are potentially stolen with no basis. None
They could
whatsoever.
be. I don't know. That's why we investigate.
Do you have a video of anybody stealing from any store with any of these items
I don't
that
know.
looks like me?
I don't know yet.
This is unreasonable.
I think it's completely reasonable. Based
I'm
on what we're
unreasonable.
saying here.
So I'm just gonna assume I'm detained. Am I detained?
You are.
I'm detained for what reason?
For investigation.
No. Reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime.
Suspicion of
What-
shoplifting.
Okay, and what evidence do you have to suspect me of
Your
shoplifting?
yard.
My yard. I have stuff from my yard for a yard sale, guys. You know yard sales are illegal now? That is absolutely insane. It's things like this that make bad relations between people
I
and
was very
police
cordial when I
officers.
walked up here.
You were
You're
not.
being cordial.
You just immediately accused us of stealing.
I did not.
You did.
I didn't.
You
I
did.
asked you simple questions.
I gave you answers. You weren't happy with those
You didn't
answers.
answer all my questions.
Told you where the stuff come from.
No,
Told you my
never
first
told me
name.
where anything came from.
It came from stores where they were purchased with coupons.
That's not an answer.
It is an answer. There's multiple stores throughout this city. There's multiple locations people can purchase items. These were purchased from all kinds of different stores.
Like where?
Like anywhere from Kroger to Walmart to Dollar General to Family Dollar to CVS to Walgreens. Anywhere that offers coupons that you can get digitally and that you can use manufacturer coupons on. That's how couponing works. You find things on sale, you use the coupons, you get them for even cheaper. I mean, you get them for a price where it's almost a steal, but it's not stealing.
Sure.
I don't understand why you're still here trying to perpetuate the idea that this is somehow theft.
Speak with your girlfriend, so now
No, I said that you could have. Now I've asked you to leave. I mean, this is unlawful detention.
You told me this is not your home.
This is an unlawful detention.
You told me this is not your home.
This is an unlawful detention.
Did you tell me?
This is an unlawful detention. I have 4 people with guns detaining me for no reason. I don't appreciate it.
Most people don't.
Yeah, especially when there's no right and no reason. You just ask everybody for receipts. You just walk up on everybody and ask them for receipts to their items. When they walk out of a store, you say, hey, do you have a receipt for that, or did you just steal that? It's ridiculous. I know y'all have better things to do than to harass somebody who has done nothing illegal. And you have no reason to believe they've done anything illegal. If you continue to violate my rights without reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime, you will be subject to any litigation that comes afterwards.
So your girlfriend, she coupons?
Yes.
Is she here? Or is she...
I've already explained to the sheriff she is not here. She went to the bank to get change.
Okay, cool.
Can I have your card, please?
It's in my car.
Will you please go get it?
I will get one in just...
I would like to know who it is that's here in the yard.
I'm Officer Brown.
I understand you said it to the video camera. I understand I have it recorded. I understand that, but in case something happens to the video, I'd like to have a physical copy as well.
I will get one before I leave.
Go by Tony. My name is Antonio. I've given you my name. I've told you where the items have come from. This is so ridiculous. What would be a sufficient answer that would have gotten you all to decide to walk away from speaking and asking questions? I mean, if there's no reasonable answer I could give that would make you all think different, then what was the point of even acting like you're being cordial? You guys have already run off several potential people that were going to stop. You're impeding on my ability to sell any of these items. This is completely unlawful. You can't provide one shred of evidence that there's anything to even suspect us of.
It's called reasonable suspicion.
But it's not. You can't articulate how it's a crime to have multiple things in your
I
yard.
didn't say that was.
Okay, it's not a crime then, so you don't have reasonable suspicion. You don't have a video. You don't have a video. You don't have any evidence, anybody saying my name, that I shoplifted, nothing matching my description coming out of a store. Okay, I told you that my name is Tony. I go by Tony. My name's Antonio.
A lot of Tonys in this world. That doesn't help me at all.
My name is Antonio.
Okay.
That's as far as I want to give you. I don't have to ID myself to you.
Okay.
I've not committed a crime. I know I've not committed a crime.
That's what everybody that commits a crime says. So that doesn't really help my investigation.
Okay. You just remember what you're saying and how you're acting.
In other words, this officer's really fiending for his ID because he's not letting up until he gets that ID.
Okay. You just remember what you're saying and how you're acting. I'll smile for you. Is that what you want?
Been nothing but cordial.
I'll give you a thumbs up and smile for you. I've not committed a crime. I don't have any issue with you all taking pictures of me. I'm glad that you all don't have any issue with me recording you all, because it is my First Amendment right to do so.
I never said a word about it.
I know, and I appreciate that. Thank you for not getting upset about that. Some people do. It's unreasonable.
You're right. When it first started, it was different, so people got upset about it.
Well, you know, now people have been more educated and people understand the law more.
Sure.
So how long are you legally allowed to keep me detained? Because it's not infinite.
You're right. But it's long enough to conduct the investigation.
Okay, well, you're not investigating anything. You've taken your pictures. You've investigated. How have you come to a conclusion by taking the pictures you took?
You told me the best person to talk to would be your girlfriend.
Correct. And I also said that you could go back across the street to your vehicle and we could end this unlawful detainment, and you can end this consensual conversation, which is what it was from the start, and you could wait for her. Now she's pulling up and you can speak to her, and then after you speak to her and she gives you the same answer that I gave you,
Sure.
is that going to satisfy you?
Maybe. We'll see what she says. I don't like to make a snappy decision.
Because I wouldn't ID myself to that man. I've been detained for, it looks like 21 minutes now from the amount of time that has elapsed on my camera. 22 minutes. And I didn't videotape the first part of the interaction. Look, you see that? Sir, please look at what she's showing that officer. That is a stack of coupons that she literally has in the front part of her car. Because she is a couponer.
They're just mad because they don't know how to do it.
We literally help people in this neighborhood. She uses the couponing to give away free things so that the neighborhood is not without. Everything is on a cheaper price than what you can get it from the store so that she can help the neighborhood. It's literally the most innocent thing in the world, and y'all are trying to turn it into a crime. I can't believe that. There's no crime committed, so I don't have to ID. It's not a stop and ID state. It's not tyrannical.
It's just easier to tell them what they need to know.
It's not easier for my rights to be violated. That's not how I feel. I knew you were going to feel different, and that's understandable. You can think how you think.
That makes me mad.
Nothing that I did is illegal. That literally, this is your life's work, that this is what you do. But the answer wasn't sufficient.
Like I told him, I have to sell this shit so I can afford to give away. I give away school supplies at the start of the year. I collect hats, warm underlayers, blankets, and tents for the homeless. I put out a free table and I share all the food that's about to expire or barely expired with the neighborhood. Everybody knows that.
It's literally the most innocent
but in order
thing.
for me to put that many hours, and it's like 5 days a week out of 7 after work, I'll be out here, getting these deals every single day. Otherwise, I can't afford to get all the free stuff. It's really all about a labor of love, but time is money, and I spend a lot of time getting this stuff. I just restarted my winter stockpile because I gave it all away. Hundreds of hats, warm socks. I go down to the Wellness Connection. We have the Feeding the Homeless group where I give stuff away.
Do you have any questions for us?
Besides, I would like to know that lady's name that reported me so she can be banned from my cell.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't release that type of stuff because we don't want that kind of drama or people angry with each other or anything like that. So,
Well, it's false reporting. That's a...
well, it's a suspicion. I think it's fair.
After 6 years of being here, police stop and shop here that patrol this neighborhood. The ice cream truck stops and shops here.
Yeah.
It's like everybody stops to shop here. For 6 years, every summer I have this sale. Nobody has ever said anything to me. It just makes me mad that somebody would call and report, and that you'd have to have this many people out here and scared. Like for the last hour, this yard would have been full of customers. Now all these customers have missed this yard because some lady wants
to be fair, I was just trying to ask some simple questions, but I couldn't get a simple answer. So it just made it more complicated. It extended the time that we were here because we couldn't get a clear answer.
I told you where the stuff came from. You weren't happy with me telling you that it was from couponing, though. It's the same answer she gave you, except for now you saw the coupons in her window.
Right. Yeah, a little bit of evidence goes a long way.
You immediately walked on me. I can't go anywhere. I was detained from the moment you walked up.
Because I don't know who you are.
Right, so I can't give you any evidence. I can't show you anything. I can't do anything to help
You
further.
absolutely could have,
I couldn't.
but you refused to. And when you refuse to identify, the courts have held that is legal to.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay, that's all we got. I appreciate you.
Is there an incident number?
And that's the end of that video. My take on that. And that's what happens, man. When you tell an officer no, they just get in their feelings. And that's what happened right here. Like, this officer just trying to say, man, if you would have gave me your ID, this would have been shorter. He wasted this guy's time for 40 minutes all because he couldn't get what he wanted. And you could just see in his face that he never got told no before, like right here.
Okay, I understand that, but I've asked you to leave. You have no right to be here.
And then when he asked the sheriff officer, is he being detained? He said yes. He said for what? That's when his officer, he didn't know what to say. He said investigation, like right here.
I'm just going to assume I'm detained. Am I detained?
You are.
I'm detained for what reason?
For investigation.
And he even admitted that he had him detained this long because he couldn't get his ID and still ended up not getting his ID.
Help
You
further.
absolutely could have,
I couldn't.
but you refused to. And when you refuse to identify, the courts have held that is legal to.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And that's one thing. We're just here to violate your rights and just leave. Like, yep, have a nice day. But that's my take on it, though. Let me know what y'all think about the comment section. How you feel about this Warren County Sheriff officer for detaining this dude for over 40 minutes, all because he couldn't get his name and he wanted to be a crybaby. And like I said, man, when you don't give an officer what they want, especially when they feeding for that ID, because this officer, he was feeding for that ID. He waited 40 minutes just to end up not getting it. That's how bad he was feeding for it. That's my take on it, though. Let me know what y'all think about the comment section. Make sure to like, subscribe, and y'all have a wonderful day.